promo coming out for this.
Okay, just
And
bear
it's
with me just bear with me 1 sec. Sorry to cut you off. So we're live now. Just let me go and see if I go on to our what's the name here, and then we'll go like there we are. We're live there, and yeah. So happy New Year, Elsa. We don't just sit down to first, yeah. Well. Lovely to see you. And I've
yeah.
put our friend up here because that's very significant to me at the moment. To me, that means clearing a pathway or being helped to clear a pathway to create a more loving new world. That's where I'm up to. How are
What
you?
do you call him? What do you call him, Rendell?
Oh, no, no, I haven't given him a name.
I thought you said, "Oh, I've got Rendell here."
Oh, no, well, maybe that's his new name. Randy, probably be called Randy. No, yes, anyway. Yeah, so how the devil are you?
Yes, Dad.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think he wrote in a post. What was it? The thing of two devils or something. He wrote that just recently. It's just there's no right or wrong. That's what I keep. That's what I got today. I was doing. I went and you posted your daughter, who is, oh my gosh, she's literally Wonder Woman to me. I'm blown away. And how could you father that? Because she would just like throw you around.
Oh, I mean, she's a force to be reckoned with. That's my daughter
Yeah.
Claire, and my youngest daughter. Right, it's her birthday today. That's Kate.
Oh, happy
Yeah,
birthday, Kate.
yeah, Katie. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I say to them, when it's her birthday, don't tell the others, but you're my favorite. Because they know my sense of humor and it's all, and they say swear words, F off, Dad, and what are you going on about and all that. So we're going out as a family this afternoon. The kids don't live with me anymore and stuff, but we're going out as a family to celebrate Kate's birthday today.
Oh, that's
Yeah, so I'm
beautiful.
looking forward to that.
Well, I saw your daughter, and I haven't been able to do my run up and down the hill because I got lazy and my socks was because I do it in gumboots or Wellingtons, or I don't even know what they call them in America,
I
rubber
don't know.
boots.
Oh,
Yeah, galoshes or
we call them wellies.
wellies. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, in Australia we call them gumboots.
right.
So I do it in gumboots. One because there's big brown snakes, and I just love my gumboots. So anyway, I'm doing the up and down the hill 10 times now,
Fantastic.
and I let my socks fall down, and I got blisters. So for 3 weeks, I couldn't do the walk, or the. Anyway, I did it today. I did 10, and I was okay. It was good. And as I was doing it, it started raining on me. And I went, I don't care. I just don't care. You can rain on me. I'm just going to still do it. I need to do this. I've got Dr. Joe, his daughter's Wonder Woman. I've got to do this. So I'm up and down the hill, and I'm thinking to myself about the promo that I've got coming for this show that we're doing today. And I'm thinking one raindrop raises the sea, and we're all connected. And so I'm a little raindrop, and so I'm literally like a drowned rat. And as I'm watching the rain fall on the ground, I'm thinking I'm a little raindrop. An ancestor nearly pooed on me. A magpie in the tree just missed. I saw it go past my eyelashes, like this big white thing dropped down on, and it just missed my gumboot and landed right in front of me. And I couldn't stop laughing. I look up at this bird and I went, "You just missed me." And as soon as I had said that, all the kookaburras on all the hills started laughing. And I was like, wow, you are really all in on this. And again, it's a simple, silly story that I might tell the kids or Richard if he listens. But we're all in on this. We're all in on this.
I
The
just
other
got when.
mess,
Sorry.
yeah, sorry. The other
No, when you
message I
said it,
got.
I got, no. It didn't miss you. You were navigated away from it, really.
Yeah, I think it was like, I could have if I
Yeah,
wanted to, but I
yeah,
didn't.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it was just even the way. And what's interesting with these wild birds is they all hang out with me while I do the walk. So they're like friends. So can I hang on one?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, it's all right. It's dinner time. We got
Yeah,
friends over, so
yeah,
they're doing really good though. Yeah, so we're all in on it, and then I got the message: an eye for an eye, and this is a big thing because an eye for an eye. I never seen F's eyes, and the eye thing is a big deal because it was a lot of mirror work as well with the eye, brings up a lot of stuff. And an eye for an eye, and I always understood this term as a payback.
yeah.
And this is a discussion that Richard and I had about who's going to be accountable. And then, but when do you stop? Like, when does the judgment stop? And so, who's accountable for who? What are we counting? An eye for an eye. And then they said, it's not what you think. I went, what? What do you mean? And then an eye for an eye is the origins is all for one. An eye for an eye is all for one. And I went, well, all for one is, again, we're all in on it. And so I was very appreciative as I kept passing the magpie. But I felt
Well,
that was very profound, very.
well, I'm getting loads of that because when you're talking about all for one and one for all, it's the three musketeers, and so it brings in the Holy Trinity, and it brings the coordination of senses to me, and that's what I've got bring this up, Joe. Make notes. I don't normally make notes. I just use spontaneously. I've got a whole page of notes here. I'm not going to go through them all. Just what emerges really. But I got Labyrinth, and I have David Bowie a lot for some reason. I got Labyrinth, and he was in a film called Labyrinth. I have seen it. I don't remember it at all in passing, but I got Joe. No, Labyrinth is to do with the ears, and it's to do with spin, and it's to do with really the place of crucifixion and Golgotha, which is the skull, and I get all this. I say, okay, slow down. What are you talking about? And I get, Joe, the ears are not just for hearing, right? Because learning to listen and listening to learn is important, but they are also the organs of balance as well, Joe, right? And the labyrinth are the corridors, right? And the channels and the canals, the semicircular canals and all this. It's all to do with balance, and this is about balance, and it's about particle splitting as well, and divided mind. Just bear with me on this while I just go through it. And I've got matter, antimatter. Right. And I've got Joe. It's important to say that it depends which way people are spinning, right? Because we've been pushed to one side and we've really been spin offs away from the original neutral vibration. And I just go with it. And I got so vertigo. Do you remember when you were a child, Joe, you used to get vertigo a lot and you were frightened by it? Well, that was almost like preparation for a sort of launch into different dimensions when you were a child. Now it's all starting to come back to me now. Because when I was 11 in that priest training college, all these things, and whether they be extraterrestrial and whether it was taken off, I don't know, and one of my big things is I don't want to be pretending to myself, and I don't want to be deluding myself or being deluded or delude anybody else. I just want clarity, and I don't care what it brings because I can accept anything that comes up now. But all I want to do is work in the truth of my own being. That's all I'm interested in. So what I got was, Joe, and suggest to Elsa, or just say, right, this is really about creation itself and how it all started, because the physicists of the world haven't got it right. And I thought, oh Christ, there we go, because there's no such thing, Joe, as the Big Bang. That's because just ask them, okay, then what started the Big Bang? Just ask them what's on the other side of the Big Bang. right? And to explain that, and what they say is, oh, it's not quite certain yet, but we think it's this, that, and the other, and so they don't know, but they're having to make up a story in order to try and understand it, So I got Joe, just tell them about photons, okay? Phonons, oh no, start again. Phonons, photons, and protons. Okay, because it's protons that they'll understand, Joe, because they're basically hydrogen ions, right? And that's what started the world. And also mention about solar plasma and the plasma that's in the human being, Joe, because that's so important to understand that you have to have clean blood. And I thought, well, that's, this is what I wake up with. I say, well, thanks very much for all that. Pass it over to Elsa and see what she's got to say.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Pass it. I just like how they do this. They give it all to you before you've just even got up out of bed. And it's because you're clean. You're not gooped up from the day, and you haven't got everyone's energies on you, and they can go, quick, give it to him all now before he gets up. And I get that because this is why a lot of people have encounters and messages is in, they call it the witch hour, the 2, the 3, because it's almost like you've completely cleansed through the night. And this is important, why it's important to sleep well, so that you wake up with clean messages. If you're sleeping with EMF around you, the messages are going to have magnetics coming in and rattling you at different angles that you really shouldn't be having. You should be in this healing process. And so Dr. Joe goes to sleep and has a spin and then comes back as a new Dr. Joe every day with these new messages. And it's like you're given a Bible, right?
Yeah.
In the morning. Okay, here, read this before you get up out of bed quickly. Just quickly. And then they push you out of bed. Okay, now go do your day. And this playfulness that we have, this light-hearted Dr. Joe and, Elsa being silly, helps us to get over ourselves of it and take the messages and share them without attachments. We're sharing them in an unconditional way, hoping that it brings inspiration and light to others. And you're one of the one. You have a big job, because you're what we class as the ones that walk between two realms. But see, you're walking through. You have 1 foot in the matrix and 1 foot over here. So you're bridging the two. See, we've been cut off from our careers, so we're in over here. So we can only do this, whereas you're still in. So you're there speaking this language and this language, this language and this language. So I don't know if your audiences really have had the full impact of what a having the role as a doctor and all the weight of that mixed in with this is so needed right now. Like in the next few years, this is just going to be, you're saying that you have a lot of messages to answer now. You might have to get some of those dragons and other beings come down and take some of your calls for you, because it's a lot for what everyone's going through, but they'll want to try and marry the two. And this is the tricky part, is marrying the two. And this is why you're sharing these messages with me and with the audience. One, because I'll see it in my way and my language, but also it will bridge rainbow arc frequency, the two. And I want to say thank you to you for doing this, what you do, because more than ever I see the importance of being able to walk in both sides. We have, I met a lady who's a judge in New Zealand, and she has to do the same. And it's very challenging. It's very challenging because when to curb and when not to curb your tongue.
That's right.
And, you know,
I find that quite
it's
difficult.
tricky, right?
Yeah, yeah. I put a
Like,
light-hearted
I would
spin
love
on
to.
it. Oh, I put a light-hearted spin on it. Apparently, that's what I do. Because I work,
Yeah.
most people know I work in a sort of. I'm a PhD in medicine. I'm not a prescribing doctor, so I don't prescribe medications. I'm coming really from a scientific angle, really, and it's spiritual science that enthuses me. And spirituality to me means what's going on in the invisible realms. So I'm very interested and feel very, very sensitively the forces and the flows that guide the way that we think and the way that we feel. So all this stuff about morphogenetics and morphic fields and morphic resonance, that's where my sort of feeling is, really. And the work of Rupert Sheldrake. I mean, I met Rupert Sheldrake about 25 years ago, and I thought, what a fantastic fella. Right. And I can't understand exactly what he's saying, but I've got a feeling that I will do one of these days. So where I work with is what's called the subtle anatomy of man and woman. Obviously, man means that it's a general human, so the subtle anatomies, and that's where I'm up to, really. It's subtle energy medicine. Right. But they don't like that term now. Medicine itself, traditional standard medicine, does not like that term. It doesn't like the term integrative medicine. It doesn't like any of those terms, So in Britain now, they've started a society. It's called the British Society of Lifestyle Medicine. So I've joined that now. Right. And so really it's about lifestyle choices. So it brings it all the way back to personal responsibility for what we choose. That's what determines the quality of your life, right? But there's much more to it than that. Now, I've already tried to bring in some of these concepts about subtle vibrations and stuff into the British Society of Lifestyle Medicine, and they go like this: "Whoa, who is this nutter?" So I have to curb it, then bring it down, stay under the radar, and talk about things like exercise and breathing, because my thing really is about how our breath and our breathing, and not just the quantity of our breathing, but the quality of breathing. That's what determines the way our brains work, which determines how we process information. I know this is like a lecture, but I'll just try and get this bit over here. So if, as Buddha is reputed to have said, just become aware of your breathing, right? And so it's the quality of breath, because there's a difference between an angry breath and a loving breath. Complete difference. And that's why Tai Chi, breathe in, breathe out, waving hands in clouds. And that's why Feng Shui is so important. Taoism, there's all these things. But what, more than anything else is, I realize now, and I can get a sense of, don't say that, Joe, or say it and see what their reaction is, because I like to play around as well, really. But I know I'm going on here, but there's so much coming through. But in the week, I spoke to somebody who has some fascinating insights. Her name's B. Joy Wenger. And what she got was, she works with the gene keys. I don't work with the gene keys. I just work sort of with direct intuition, if you like. And what she discovered through her intuition is that when she was 7 years old, she suffered from quite a lot of illnesses and stuff. And what she's been told now is because it was basically because of a tryptophan deficiency, because the gene keys at one part is associated with amino acids, right? And I understand how all that works. But she was told that she was deficient in tryptophan at 7, but she needed to recorrect that now in order to put right that deficiency from when she was 7 years of age. So there's a timeline jump, if you like, right? That's actually being recorrected now. And I find this fascinating. But here's the next bit, Elsa, and this relates to you, really, is that Neff, you can actually take information, because Neff and her fella got a lot of bad press for various reasons. you know. And it's almost like you can take information that's relevant now and almost go back and help Neff to recorrect things that were going on then, because then you will shift her timelines. Then I don't know what this fully means, but it might have some impact upon you, because essentially you're going back from her future to help her to correct her present moment, to change the way that her future works. So you're going back in the past to help her to change her future, right? And also, I think that Richard's got a role in this as well. And, but I think because he can do the same to the spouse as well. So I've just said all that now, and I'll leave it with you and see what emerges in this great oceanic consciousness that we're all floating in.
So she comes forth and back and forth, and it's very quick. It's not a big deal, only because we've dealt with it for so long now. So when I have to be careful sometimes, because not to speak her tongue and her vice versa, because it'll be interpreted incorrectly, which is interesting. And then the correcting in back and forth, we do all the time. And it's a great healing. It's help the health of our family and others, and it's responsibility as well. One, to be respectful to the family and the public, and also again not stepping on people's toes too much. All the historians, there's a lot of religions. There's a lot of things that we go back and forth with religions, so I have to be cautious and understanding of where everyone is at. But at the same time, I have my role as a mother, and the place where the seedlings are growing. If this one doesn't speak up, does that mean it misses out this whole cycle? And that, I guess, is the driving force, or the will, or the essence. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a comfortable force either, because you go, no, I don't want to do that. I'm still me as well. So, but it doesn't work like that. You have to kind of, like you said, get out of the way yourself, wake up, be that you in the morning, be the fresh you in the morning where you're still like rubbing your eyes, not realizing who you are, be that person. And I feel that that's the clearest way to have messages come through. This connecting with others, though, Dr. Joe, I know that this is going on for you. I know it is. This is like so fast, and it's this connecting faster and faster and faster is connecting with the solar flares as well. It is. It's so this is what when they spoke about you becoming enlightened, they're talking about light, fast, speed, pump, 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 and so they were preparing us to this point now so that we could handle what we were all doing together. So people say, when's it going to ease up? I go, I don't think it is. I think it's going to get more. So it only can get more. It can't get less. So adjust, go to bed. Adjust, go to bed. Adjust, go to bed. Adjust. Rise and set. Rise and set. Do like the animals, heal and breathe. Bring it back to the basics, the origin, the basics. How do I feel? How do I feel? How do I feel? Even if you walked around for one whole day not saying one word to anyone and saying, how do I feel? How, like as your mantra, I bet you would have a very different day.
I agree. And my whole thing is show people, Joe, based upon your experience, not theory, based upon your practical lived and felt experience. Just talk about that and explain to them, them. Sorry about you lot out there, but you are them today, right? Explain to them that the solution is as simple as you could possibly realize. It's under your nose, and the nose is a K, because really it's getting out of the way. All the stuff that you thought that you knew is to let that go, because the new stuff will emerge. It won't come down from here, it will come up from here. So if your imagination is still in the service of your head, then you're going to find it more and more difficult. If you're trying to analyze it, you will be paralyzed in this analysis paralysis that's coming up. So let go of your head, right, and allow the solution to emerge, because you will be presented with the actions you needed to take based upon the information received from your intuition and not from your intellect. And sooner or later, when the intellect is in the service of the intuition, then you will find balance. But you have to do it. You can't think your way into this. It's like you can't think your way into humility. If you think, oh, I'll be humble, I'm going to be humile now. I'm going to be humile, new word, right? And what I'll do is I'll act like a caring and compassionate person, No, it doesn't work like that. You can't make it up. You can't make something up that you've not felt before. So it's the feeling that changes us, because we are being changed. We are not changing us from the head down. God, I've said a lot there. I'm going on a lot, but this is what I do. So what's that all about, Joe, is just sit, stop, because people they have a chronic inability to relax, and it's in relaxation that the recuperation will help. Rest and digest happens in relaxation, as you mentioned before. So how do they do it, Joe? Get them to sit, Joe. Get them to put their hands on their heart, or they can do cradling the sacred child. They can snuggle that beautiful child in, and they can imagine that the child and their heartbeat is synchronizing, and get them to breathe that synchronization. And sooner or later, the head will let go, and it will start to understand that changes are taking place. It feels like a lecture this morning, but what I'm trying to get across is it's not what you think as such, it's what you feel first and foremost, right? That's becoming more and more important.
So you said solution.
Yeah.
So soul, path, ions. I mean, that's just poetry, right? So it comes up from within. So why does it come up from within? Because this is the essence of us, and you can't take it with you, but the essence goes with you. So this is the eternal part of you. So you're here in this vehicle, and you can do with it what you wish, if you wish. You have to drive it correctly to have longevity out of it. But this essence of you will continue, and has continued, or is continuing on many paths as well at once.
Yeah.
And this is what we're all finding out, and we're starting to realize how multidimensional and how multi-realm we actually are, because you're saying, where's that come from? Where does this come from? And this happens because now you're tapping into all these versions, and it's cross-wiring sometimes, it's alignments, it's also the collective raising as well. So just say you didn't want to be participating in any of this, or you never ever watch one spiritual show. Imagine all this happening. So who are they going to go see? They're going to go see, well, I wouldn't have seen anyone spiritual. That wouldn't have been what I would have done. I would have gone to kinesiology. Some people are going to be going to GPs. So they're going to go back into that, what did you say, that pathological way of thinking about it? Like, you can't think your way out of this. And you can't prescribe for it either. I wish you could have, but you can't.
No.
You just can't. You have to sit with yourself. And why have they made us so scared of ourselves? Because they know that this power, like the movie The Labyrinth, which I pretty much know word for word, as it was my one of my favourite movies. I used to watch it over and over. And the aha moment for the Labyrinth girl was, she said, "You have no power over me." And as soon as she said that, time collapsed, the labyrinth collapsed, everything collapsed. And then she felt like she had lost all her world. And she went back to her old 3D realm. But then they all presented again. So they stayed with her. But she was able to run the two at the same time. And this is what happened with Alice in Wonderland as well. So it happens in a lot of films. So generally we find a lot of the Hollywood films are they're lies sprinkled with truth, or truth sprinkled with lies. I don't know which one it is, but these stories are there to show us that this actually does happen. It's not a smear campaign anymore. It is actually use these films as our history books in a way. Quick fix, quick sections. Go to that part of the scene, collect that scene.
It's fascinating, this. I mean, the big message that I carry, apparently, is that nobody outside of yourselves knows what you need to do. The solution to all your problems is within your deepest realms, because the deeper you go, the higher you go in a paradoxical way. Because the deeper you go, the more that your mind expands. Now, the mind itself, that doesn't do the processing. The mind is really a place, really. In my father's house are many mansions. There's lots of different rooms and abilities and skills there. So the mind itself is almost like another place with all these different things. But it's the processing that goes on within the mind. So you don't lose your mind. It's your processing that So this is really how we process information and how those signals are then sent through various places in our physical body. So the whole point is, if there was an opposition in this game that wanted to direct you away, it would send in distracting frequencies and things so that you got mixed messages and mixed signals. And that's basically what confusion is. So if you work with this is just the way I explain it. If you work from your heart of hearts, really, and you allow the intuition to emerge and send you the information, that helps you then, like a laser, which is light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation. So all that means is, it just means that the force of the light is actually bringing the two hemispheres together, so that there's no cross back and forward. Because that's where the imbalance, see, I'm getting this now, is right at my ears, right? That's where the imbalance is, really. But it's what happens is, as the heart allows more and more energy to come through, it brings the hemispheres together. And that's what this reunification process is all about. So there's that triangulation, there's the threesome, there's the Holy Trinity and all that sort of stuff. Just while I say this, at the start of this, I said to you, I don't know why, Elsa, but I've called this, I can't even know what, life on the ocean wave, right? Living life on the ocean wave or something. You said behave yourself. Where did you get that from? What was that all about?
Well, I'm going to surprise you. This promo
okay.
for this, when you see it, you're just going, "Oh my gosh!" So this is a real live realization on a live interview, because you didn't know. No, you still don't know. So you'll find out with the audience when I post it up, later tonight or tomorrow morning. and you'll go, wow, so because you said you got this a couple of minutes before, right?
Yeah.
So, so you've just tapped in. So what did you tap into? Well, I didn't post anything. I haven't said anything. So what have you tapped in? You've tapped into your breathing. We're excited to have the show, and you've tapped in, you closed, you feel, and you just say it. You allow it. You don't think about it. You just allow it because it felt like to come up from the solution. So it comes up from the solution from a loving, kind, unconditional place. You share it out, and then you're going, I don't know where that came from. And then I go, I know exactly where that came from. So to me, I just go, we're there. We're there. We're there. We're there. And this morning, little Jeannie comes into the office and she says, Mum, I got one of Jerry's scrolls. So if I hope I'm not boring your audiences, but I don't think I've told many people. We had these big, like Asian books. They were this big, and it was called the Book of Answers. And our Dalmatian puppy didn't like the front cover, so he pulled the front cover off and then started pulling all the pages out, and then there'd be another page, so he'd pull another one out. It was very annoying for the dog because he spent a long time pulling all these pages out. Anyway, we came in and the kid said, oh, no, this is our favourite book. He's wrecked it. I said, well, why don't we make the pages into scrolls? So the kids trimmed all the chewed bits off and got little ribbon and tied each one and made little round scrolls. So we have this big box full of all these scrolls, and the kids dive their hands in and pull out a scroll. Or if someone's over at the house, they'll say, pick a scroll. It's really cute, right? Anyway, Jeannie, we haven't done it for a while, and Jeannie comes in and goes, Mum, the whole dragon thing, I'm dragon. She says, that's what she says, because I think she was born in the golden dragon or something. She says, I'm dragon, so I pulled a scroll. Ah, there he is. So I pulled a scroll, and the scroll said, now you can. Wow, they're big words from a genie. And she said, yeah, well, you can go and tell everyone with Dr. Joe. Now you can. And I was like, I pat her on the head, and she goes, there you go. And she just walks off, and now you can. So it's a gift to yourself and to others that now you can. And it's this frustration we've all been feeling, this I don't know what to do, where are we going to go, what are we doing? Don't worry about all of them anymore. Now you can be you. More than ever in my years here on earth, now you can. And it felt really different. This energy feels really different. It's taken all day to kind of settle in and nearly get pooped on by a magpie. But it's here, and it feels good. It still feels like there's a lot of stuff that needs to be sorted out, but it feels like now we can all do this, and it's like a gateway, or I just felt like there was no one around to give a hug, and I was like, but I felt like I was hugging everyone at the same time.
I can
Jeannie
feel that
walks
now.
in. Yeah, it just felt like a big hug to the whole universe. Like, okay, so we got here. We got to this day. Now you can. And every day is an important day. There's not one day greater than the other, but there's been multiple shifts to this point, and there'll be plenty more. But now you can.
I feel that so much because when you were saying that, I got there. You know, it's like a compassionate sort of mummy thing, right? But also I got the book of answers is where you'll find the solutions, right? And the scrolls have an ancient significance as well, really. But I got Joe, they're fortune cookies, right? You know, you pick a scroll like you pick a fortune cookie because it's got a message on the end of it. And I've had a lot of chat, obviously, for this week. I've had a lot. Here it comes now. I can feel it coming in. But you never made that feeling up with your head. The feeling emerged, and that's what I'm saying now is my understanding is I used to have to try and think and pretend to be compassionate, and that was the con job, really. You know, and it was meant good intentionally and stuff like that. But under the surface, there was all sorts of stuff that needed to be shifted, right? And this is really about the heart expanding. It's sending all this stuff up through an open and flowing throat and out through the crown of our heads. But if we try and stop it here and analyze it, it stops the process. So we've almost like got to breathe away the gunge. And that's why to get back to balance and the ears and the semicircular canals and the organ of balance, that's why so many people have been snotty and pouring out all sorts of stuff, because it's making space for the cross. And what I got really was, Joe, just explain to them again. I'm sorry to call you them, but that's what I get. Explain to them again that when you see a circle to represent this, it's not a circle, it's a globe. It's a globe, right? And where you'll be taken is, depending on your soul's frequency, you'll be given different coordinates, because you'll be sitting in the 0 point, which is the pilot seat, right? And it's where you are given the coordinates, not only space coordinates, right, not geographical locations, but time coordinates as well. So this is really what the matrix is about, the proper matrix. It's about space-time coordinates, and you will be guided through your intuition as to where you need to go to reset the past in order to go forward in the future from the present moment, from the pilot seat of the 0 point. And I thought, thanks very much. I'll just write that down and pass that information on. God bless you.
So we have had with a lot of discussions with Pamela is the golden compass. So we have a clock that we look at, the clock face. So now change that clock into the sphere. And so what's happening is we've been looking at the clock with just one flat surface.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how we've been behaving for the last few decades as well. Whereas now this clock has become to a sphere and all these alignments are happening. What's interesting with this sphere or the golden compass and all these alignments, it's like neurons and protons and nerves are reconnecting in us physically, literally. And so you have the sphere and then you have curious Elsa go like this, lean out from the sphere, and you look down and there's just multiple spheres everywhere. It's the stars. So you have this sphere and then you have that one and then so what will happen is once enough of the neurons, protons and cells inside us, ions, IAMs, are connected and connecting with others, our abilities will change. And, we might even look superhuman than what we are now because of what our abilities will be, because it will be more than the clock face, more than the sphere. It'll be that and all that behind.
I agree. And that thing behind you, that's like bubbles to me. They're like bubbles.
Yeah.
They're like bubbles emerging. But the cells, this is why I say individual cells, right, are actually bumping into others, right? There might be a sort of collision of ideas initially, but then they agree to agree. They agree then, rather than disagree, to agree on a purpose of improving things and making the world a better place. So then there's a merge then. So then the cell membranes open up and they merge then. And so two become one, right? and then that multiplies again, and 2 become 4, then becomes 8, then 16. So there's like an exponential increase in the size and the space of this, right? And we start to sort of expand then into what's already there. I won't go into all that, but we expand then, and it's almost like the fragments are resetting themselves in particular ways, like keys. This is where the biochemistry comes in. Because different molecules and different atoms are fed by different forces. So here's one sort of chemical substance, which takes me back to tryptophan. So it comes in like this, and then initially there's a bit of a bump, and then suddenly they merge together, and then this one's sticking up here, and another one comes in from there. So there's all sorts of things going on, where this that's being fragmented into trillions of pieces is all now coming back together, guided by this force of love and unconditional love and compassion and care and everything else, or something like that. Well, how do you facilitate? How can you quicken the process? Just sit still, get your head out of the way, surrender to the process, and then you will find out the information 3 months after it's happened when you're looking back.
Yeah, I agree. I will. A lot of the time, you can sit with it. So I'm reflecting back to what I did in the beginning when I had my, 97. What was I going through then when I realized that the world was labyrinth crumbling? So slowing your speech down is a big one. And not having the last say, allowing space for what the last person said, and not commenting, just allow space. And sometimes this creates uncomfortable silence, but it also allows space for the other to hear what they said as well. So this was a great one to do if someone kept saying harsh words to you, or words that made you feel really uncomfortable. Instead of having something to say or an opinion, not say anything, just go quiet and allow the crickets to come in, basically, and work their magic. And this actually, it was kind of weird, but it did dissolve a lot of relationships I had with family members and things. So and friends. But it wasn't that I did anything. I just went quiet and allowed them to live with their last words. And it was allowing them to be their full path and allowing me to be mine. But at the same time, the human in me almost didn't want it to end because I was so used to them being around. But I thought, the more and more I did this, and I do believe in us being our own stars and our own spin and our own golden compasses within, is that I believe in it so much, and I believe in it in so many others, that if we're meant to be orbiting together, they'll just come back. They might not come back right then when I want them, which is hard as a human, but they will. They'll come back. Because it's an attraction, right? So, and they'll come back as the full version of them, and you'll come back as the full version of you. And this is creation. Not being your full golden compass, not being your full spin, and like you said, not being the full Dr. Joe in when you were trying to be kind. You can't do that because you're not being the full Dr. Joe. So they're not getting the full you. So you'll have to come back and do it again. You'll have to keep having that experience. It will keep repeating. It'll come up on the Mercury retrogrades. Mercury retrogrades are a real big one for that. It will just keep, and you'll find your life will become like a Groundhog Day until you allow the full spin. And then once you allow the full spin, and them the full spin, then it goes to the next stage. And this is creation, this is evolution, this is the solution. But But yeah, there's that human in us that wants to not let things go, and you know, that means you might have to do another cycle. And that, like I said, there is no right and wrong. You might have something amazing happen in that next cycle. So there is, you're not doing the wrong thing, you're not doing the right thing. You just got to keep finding your solution, your essence, your spin.
I agree, and I think that you have to feel your way, really. You know, I think that we are moved from deep within ourselves, you know, out of the depth, you know. And if you can sort of feel that, it's like this oceanic, this wave thing. It's like surfing, really. I use that analogy as it's like surfing, you know. And at first, you know, you're on the board for about 10 seconds and you fall off. You can either go, oh, I can't do this, I'm not, or you can say, oh, hang on a second, it's a learning process, I'll have another bash. And then you do 15 seconds, then suddenly you jump to a minute and you think, I'm getting this now. And then you get all this enthusiasm for wanting to go. So I keep getting this wave thing, you know. And just as about the Schumann resonances, you know, that's increasing now. And for people who don't know that, really, it's like the way I see it is, it's the beating of a drum. You know, it's the boom 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 boom. You know, so it's almost like that vibration has increased, and because we're in this so-called sort of firmament, this little box of space and time in which there are apparently 15 dimensions, whatever, right? You know, it doesn't matter. All that stuff to me doesn't matter. I've heard so many theories, you know, over the years, and I've read such a lot that there's conflicting views all over the place. And I've just discarded a lot of them now. And all I do is I just work with the feeling from my heart. And if I feel confused by anything, I've got people that I can go to say, look, this is what I'm feeling. This is what I'm seeing. What do you think? And they'll say to me, you're bonkers, right? Or they'll say, well, funnily enough, I'm getting the same thing as well, you know. So I can't contain anything to myself. I need to have people that I can trust in order to share what's really going on with me, you know. So I don't know what all that means, but it's finding somebody who won't give you advice other than allow you to get all this stuff off your chest. Because my view is that as soon as you get it all off your chest and you don't leave any bits in, it creates more space then for the new stuff to flow in then, really. You know.
Well, this is one of the great practices in the pyramids, was the debriefing, which is a military exercise. And so, yes, they would go in, they would say prayers and special words, but there was also the debriefing to change the anchor to the shaft so that they could guide themselves rather than hold that time. And this is why they believed they were great time travelers, or they didn't believe in time, as many indigenous cultures don't believe in time, is because the only thing that anchors you to time is your man's story, his story, your story of you. So you have this story of you and you keep trying to fix it over there. So while you're trying to fix it over there, your avatar's here going, what do I do? How many days or weeks ahead is she? How can you fix something that far ahead? Or how can you fix something that you've said, you know, when you were... So allowing those things that have happened to be a tool, and then using them as your tool rather than using them as a story to hang on to of you. So you have to treat the up until now as your show. And I do. I literally say, just, it's your show. It's your show. It's your show. And, you know, consequently saying this, you know, we'll have things arise with family members, and you know, Richard will look at me and he has that look in his eye and he just says to me, babe, it's okay. It's part of the show. And trust what you say. Trust those words you say to others. Come back to those words. It's part of the show. It will have a great unfolding. and it makes this, story, the mother of me, allow the kids to be the kids. Well, yeah, it's because you just want to protect everyone and keep them all here and put the chicken wings up and push all the chicks underneath. But that's not what we're here to do. We're here to allow the path of us and the path of others. And consequently, it does actually become easier and more fun with this type of way of being. And this is what we say to people. We'll have drama going on in the day and things that people think are just horrific, but we're able to handle it. Like, see how you're smiling? That's what we're like. We're like, are you kidding? Like, we'll have this big smile and people are like, that just happened and this was this and this was like, and they're going, why are you still smiling? And you go, well, it's not that we're smiling or making fun of anyone. It's part. It is what it is. It is what it is. It's only for that second. It's only for that hour. It is what it is. It's a mess. It's a mess, yes, but then it's not going to be a mess in 2 or 3 hours. Or maybe it's going to be a bigger mess. Who knows? But it is what it is for now. Don't project too far forward. And don't remember what the mess was like, 10 years back. Just, it is what it is. It is what it is.
I agree.
I'm
people.
Sorry. Yeah.
No. Sorry. People say to me, "Don't you care?" I said, "You've got no idea." I said, "I care more than you realise. It's just that I'm not reacting to what you're saying. I'm just thinking and feeling. I wonder if there's any solution that will present itself. So I stepped out of the drama many, many years ago, and people come to me, right? And it's not that I don't care, because people sometimes say, "Are you listening to me?" I say, "I can hear every word that you're saying, right?" But it's just that I seem now to process it from a different place now. And I'm virtually, unshockable. I'll probably say that now and get the biggest shock of my life. But it's not that I don't feel, because I was shown a long time ago that there's different phases, right, of feelings, really. It's about like the phases of water, right? But there's sympathy, which is basically a head knowledge without understanding the feelings associated to it. And that's why a lot of medical professionals are sympathetic, but they don't really understand the feeling side of it. So they work from a cognitive head-based thing, really. And they do what they think that they're supposed to do. That's that one. And then there's empathy, is when you can actually feel what other people are feeling, but you get sucked into their dramas then, and you find it difficult to let go. And then there's the third phase, and we're moving into a fourth phase now. There's a third phase, which is called compassion. And compassion is to be detached with love, because sympathy is detached without understanding true love. Empathy is when you're moving in really to the sort of next dimension of feeling, right? So you get into the emotions. But compassion is when you can feel everything. It's just that you don't get sucked into anybody else's dramas, really. And I think people think that they're losing their feelings, but no, they're just evolving into the next stage of usefulness for the universe. Right. And I'm like that sometimes. I hear of all the horrendous things going on across the planet. And it's almost like some people will call this objective consciousness. But I don't believe in such that there's anything such thing as objective consciousness. It's just a move to a different vibration, really, and a different way of processing information. And the thing that came to me was, if you don't want to fight, don't get into the boxing ring, right? And I thought, well, why is it called a ring when it's got 4 corners? I thought, oh, there we go, Joe. You see, that's moving from the 3 to the 4. And I thought, wow, that's good, that really, the way that they do. Oh, see, look, as I'm saying it, it's in here now going, yeah, well done, son. You've got that one. So that's what I think. It's a feeling thing, really. And it's not that we don't feel, it's just that we don't get emotionally engaged. So it's to be completely aware without being attached, really. And I think lots of people are being moved into that, but they're finding it difficult to let go of the human side, if you like, so that they move into the divine side. And I always get a picture of the centaur there, where there's a human bit and there's a divine bit as well. And they're almost like merging again.
So, so this law, there's LAW and LORE, which is cosmos law. So you have the law of what's understood through the universe, and so this is how they use time travel and everything, or whatever you want to call it. And then you have the how we've been processing things at school through law and the analytical minds, and this way over here, they are having to fight for it to continue. So it's a crumbling labyrinth. But if you hear anyone start having to defend it, and see, divine law, you don't have to defend. Generally, anyone that's over here, they go, it is what it is, right? But this one over here, if you hear that they have to start spilling off to you, they'll spill off. They spill off, and they preach it at you. This over here is law, and this one's over here is so. This one, they don't care whether you do or you don't, because they understand that you all have a choice. Whereas this one, they want everyone in there, because otherwise this one doesn't work anymore. Whereas this one, either way, is good. So this has got a balance to it, right? This one's all one way. So if you start feeling that, over one way, take a step back, allow them to spin off, and don't opinionate it, because you're not going to win. You're not going to win because there's no balance. You can't fight with an unbalanced. It's like being in the boxing ring, and the boxing ring is on an angle like this, and they're up here. And there's just no way you're going to be able to swing a punch up and it have the same impact, because they're at you. So you just allow that over there. So I have to start this picture behind you because it's coming out of your head, the fire. So the day you posted the dragon, so we get up very early here on the farm. Like, we're up at 3 in the morning, and the kids are up early too. Everyone does everything really early, so we're ready for the day. We're ready to be ready. We love being ready to be ready, because this is how Richard loves doing things at the drop of a hat, and I don't. So the only way I could get it around that was to be organized. So I would get up earlier and be because 8 kids, there was a lot of stuff to organize. So it's just continued on in our life. So we just get up really, really early. Anyway, so up early, and Gemma left, and it's a long driveway, and the front gate, you have to get out the car, and it was raining. And I said, so one of us, myself or Richard, drive up with the kids and get out the gate and open the gate and shut the gate, so that they don't get wet and they can go on. And we call out if we hear any cars, because it's a dangerous road that we live on. And then they go off to work. Anyway, so it was dark, so the sun still hasn't risen, and I've got Crow the rooster crowing, and I'm walking back on. I didn't have a phone or any light, and it's new moon, and I'm walking down the driveway back to the farmhouse, and these big birds are just going nuts in the trees, like screaming, like really, really loud, like squawking. And I could just see them fly off and fly back and fly off and fly back. And then I hear this, and I'm going, what's that? And then I go, uh-oh. And I hear it again, and then I could smell, it's a huge goanna. These goannas are like Komodo dragons. These ones are big. These are the ones. So we have goannas in Australia that scramble, but then you have the ones that we call them the twisters, where they walk like this. So they're too big, so they walk like dinosaurs. Anyway, he's up the tree, and he did dragon's breath at me 3 times. I went, I got it. I'm walking as fast as I can. Because they also pee on you, like pee down the tree on you as well. So I'm like, so anyway, and they've got a very strange smell to them, because they've got a lot of rotting flesh in their claws. Anyway, so I get back to the house, and then I look on Facebook, and there's Dr. Joe. He's posted up a dragon, that's breathing dragon's breath. And I thought, wow, so this is going to be about breath. It's going to be about we are the ready dragons, and we're dragging our ions and others with us, and it's the breath with the solution coming up. Breathe it through. The solution comes up, breathe it through. And I just love that you're tapped into all this. I love before I even come on, you're just doing it. And it's magical. It's the way the world's going. It's exciting to be a part of. And I just want to thank you for this, because this shows others that even though Dr. Joe is in the analytical or whatever world you want to call him in, he's in that, the way it used to be world, or still is world, but he's also doing this over here. And it means it's happening. It really does. It means it's happening. It means it's that genie scroll that we can all do this now. And this picture behind your head with the steam coming out your ears makes it very dramatic, I have to say. It's got even some teeth coming out.
But I got the thing is the beard. I got bearded dragon. I thought, oh God, so there is that side, because for a long time there was no fire. There was nothing. I was a gross people pleaser, and I used to basically suck all this energy back inside and keep it in, and it basically was self-destructive. And I think just for everybody is, to be themselves, to first of all is to drop deep and basically ask themselves, who am I in here? I think that once you make that honest sort of inquiry, right, who am I really? Because I thought I was being me, but really that was my second nature. So it's important to get back in touch with the second nature. The second nature is really just a programmed automaton. It's a conditioned self, and there's lots of psychology that goes with this, Carl Rogers' work, Jungian work, even some Freud stuff is there. It's explained this. Maslow as well, because Maslow's hierarchy of needs, for anybody who looked into psychology, was really all about something called self-actualization. And it was really to understand that we start off mostly in a lower self, small self, egocentric self. But if we let go, then we're guided into our full potential then. But it's an effortless process. It's really a process of not enough to get hold of anything. It's basically to let go of everything. Because what happens then is there's an emergence then of who you really are. And there'll be some people who understand what I'm saying, and there's some other people thinking he should be back in the psychiatric department, you know what I mean? And that's fine. That's absolutely fine by me. But what I'm trying to say is that really this is a reunification of the divided mind, right? And there is a gentle side as well that's needed sometimes, but there's also a side of me now that can go like this. Get out of my way, I'm coming through. Or there can be, come on, let's try and do this together,
What is second nature? I've never thought of this term before. So second nature is so, but how can you have a second nature? Like so when when I hear words, I just go, that's a thing, because I remember hearing that term a lot, second nature, and you go, how is that possible? How is that possible? How is this possible? And this is what happens with the language and the words, and then, the other things coming through, the messages coming through. They go, they come, they like step in, interrupt, and I go, so second nature. How can you have second nature? So where is second nature?
Well, exactly, and that's the thing. The second nature is the conditioned self. It's what we've learned that's in alignment with who we're not, right? So we have a primary nature, which is basically like a tabula rasa. They call it a clean sheet, right? But what happens is when we're born, then we're fed all this information and conditions, and we're conditioned through either fear or a reward. So that's how we get conditioned. And then because it's learned, then it goes into our below the consciousness mind, and that becomes our second nature, you see. So when a situation arises, we jump to our conditioned self rather than our unconditioned self. So it's paradoxical, really. So what we need to do now is, and this is where there's so many things here. This is what I call the second nature, is the epigenetic shroud that's covering us. It's like a habit, because monks wear habits. It's we have to take off the habits, and we find there's another habit underneath. So we have to almost disrobe ourselves until we're left back to the original smiling face of the universe and the Garden of Eden, where it was all right to be naked because there was no shame, no guilt, no remorse. Oh, look, I'm getting like a big coming up now, but it's really about the return to the Garden of Eden in our complete nakedness, because there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. And by the way, everybody, before you run out in the street with no clothes on, this is a metaphor here. It's just,
I know. I
they
can
call
see you
it, you know
turning
what
up
they
for the
call it?
best.
In the UK, they call it bolloco, bolloco. And what bolloco means is taking your clothes off and running through the streets, like Lady Godiva, really.
I can see you turning up for the birthday party in your birthday suit. I'm trying to make a point.
Yeah, trying to make a point, yeah. And because my kids would say, "Oh, Dad, what is it this time?" Put some clothes on. They've probably got a sort of new set of clothes in the car in case they do turn up like that. You know
Back
what I
up.
mean? Yeah, yeah. So that's the thing. And here's a strange thing. And well, I'm going to say it anyway. When I was on the drink, what used to get hold of me, something got hold of me, and I'd go down to the local, either in the river or the local open air swimming bath, and off I'd go, and I'd be swimming around and stuff like this. And I had like minders, though, because they used to look at me and they could see when I changed, and they go, "Uh-oh." And so my friends who loved me, they used to follow me and look after me and stuff like this, Elsa, so but I look back lightheartedly now, but I used to come round and people used to say to me, "Don't you remember what you did?" No. And they tell me, and they go, oh my God, what's the matter with me?
Yeah,
But
it's kind
anyway,
of like your
Dr.
best you
Joe is
didn't.
not, yeah, Dr. Joe is not suggesting that you go out and take all your clothes off. This is a metaphor for letting go of all the stuff that doesn't serve us, because we've been almost like programmed because of our naivety into working in this sort of almost like slavedom mentality. So we're not slaves any longer. We never were. It's just part of the learning and experiential process of the soul's progress. There we are.
Well, the other word that you said was habitat. Habitat. Habit. So second nature is habitat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is where this is a big wow. So that's amazing. Second nature. Because it's habit. It's second nature how to drive the car, because you're taught how to drive it. You're taught fear. You're taught fear. You're taught fear. So it becomes your habitat. So you start taking that away, taking that away, taking that away, and you don't have this, oh no, you don't have that anymore, because you're looking at the overall picture. You're not looking at it from second nature.
And do you know what,
That's so
Elsa?
good.
This
Oh,
this might because when you say habitat, I got habitude, and I get what's that? It's a mixture between attitude and habit, right? Because your attitude is basically habit. It's not your real feelings. So the real feelings are emerging now. Some people might call this a truth vibration, but it's not actually a vibration, because there needs to be 2 points in a vibe. Anyway, that's another story. But what I'm trying to say is, it reminds me of when I was a kid. I was addicted to golf. I used to play golf. And so I went to a coaching professional, and he said to me, "Your grip needs to change." Right. So I had what they call an interlocking grip. And he said to me, "Change it into a baseball grip," he said. Right. And so I tried it. But just changing from there to there, the resistance, right, and the cognitive dissonance of just changing was horrendous, right? And I couldn't do it, Elsa. I couldn't use this new grip, although I was being guided by somebody who was expert in the field. But something, the willfulness in me would not let go of the old habit to be replaced by a habit that was more in alignment with how it should be. And I think what's actually happening now is, as the sun's rays come in now and bombard us, our individual souls now are vibrating at a frequency that is perfect for us, first nature, our primary nature. But it's the new vibration that's coming in that's actually conflicting with our old habits that's causing a lot of the problem, right? And I know that the solution is to stop, step back, get into this breathing and breathe away the old habits to allow space for our primary vibrations to come back and guide us. So that's like a lecture, but that's what's coming through strongly.
Yeah. Well, this is what's creating the conflict in ourselves. And so, yeah, so this is great. So we've got second nature and the solution. And so the more you do the solution, the solution is also, it's a revolution. It's a spin like the sun, which we all are. We all are, soul are. So tap into it and then tap into it the next day, and then tap into it the next day. And on those full moons, you'll be feeling it because it's reflecting in as well. So tap into it, tap into it, tap. And some nights you won't not be able to sleep, but that's because you're getting in touch with all the solutions and all the cells, and you start connecting to the LORE and leaving the LAW over there to have its own sorting out. It really does. There's no one to judge it. We're not judging it. It just sort yourself out over there. I'm not going to judge you. I'm not holding you accountable. There's no eye for eye because we all are one. But that's over there. I can't get upset about it. I've cried too many tears and it doesn't work. I have. We all have. We've shed so many tears for over there, and it doesn't matter how much you cry. It really doesn't, because creation doesn't work that way.
Fascinating, isn't it? I mean, I get that thing about the difference between lawful and legal, and that's another story that's going on, really. So there's the natural law, right? And that comes into time as well. There's natural time, right? And there's constructed time. But that's a story for another day, really.
Well, I want to bring up, there has been some really nice, unusual shifts that we've heard through the grapevine that's happening in Australia. And a few of them have been that some of in the police force are not, they're going on strike here and there at random times. We've also noticed shopping centres change their formula of what how they have their lighting to help others, and what music, if they play any. So we are seeing shifts. They're definitely noticing. There's definitely changes going on. And we've already seen shifts in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Big ones.
Yeah.
So there's shifts there. And they're the forefront because they're the blockbusters. So this is shifting, and we're seeing shifts in the social media. There's been really huge shifts going on the last 2 years. But it's the kids keep saying it's coming out a lot more in the public. And what's interesting is our kids keep saying, ETs, no one cares. It's like, that was last year,
Yeah.
So it's good. This is good because they got over it, because then they can't use it as the new dragon. They can't say, we're coming to get you.
No.
And they've taken the heat out of the breath of the dragon. You can't pull that one on us, because they're not going to buy it. There's too many that have gone up. the heat's gone.
I agree. I agree. And that's why water's so important, really. And when you said that forefront about blockbusters, what I got was forefront, but we are the fifth element. I keep getting that a lot now, you know. And they sometimes, some spiritual traditions call this, what's happening now is it's the fourth turning into the fifth dimension now, stuff like this. So there's so many different, and I got the other night because I wake up a lot in the night in the witching hour, basically every single night it happens to me, and I'm like all right with it now. But I got up the other night. In the other night, I got up and I go, okay, what do you want? Put the thing on, listen to Elsa's talk now with those two people, right? And I thought, well, I don't know who these two lads are, right? Fast, I was totally and utterly, I was wide awake, and I was like, you know, as the sort of confirmations that you were talking about were coming in, you know, and you were talking about linguistics, how DNA is encoded and how we rescript things now. But we can only rescript the way our DNA works when we become the author. So I got, what do you mean by that? And I got authority. You are the authority, Joe, because that's what an author is, right? You're an authority, right? And therefore you need to be authoritative. So say what you mean what you say, and act upon this, right? And I go, oh, all right, you know. But what they were talking about is, because I was getting it in the day, you know, as it happens, I get all this information in the day to say, what does it mean? And then you're talking about it with these two lads on this thing, you know. And I was thinking, oh, it's brilliant. So I've subscribed to their both channels, you know, and but what I tend to do is there's so many things that I'm involved with. I just say, what do you want me to look at now? And it's almost like going to the library and being guided to a particular book. Well, I get guided to a particular video, which confirms the stuff that's coming in for me as well. You know, and sometimes I could pick up like a comic or a magazine, you know, and it might be like you know, something out of there with a birdie singing, and it'll be confirmation for me, really, you know.
Well, it's interesting you brought up those gentlemen because, um, like coming on with you, I'm comfortable with you now, but coming on and speaking with someone of, you know, your education, a doctor, you've got all the big words, and so did these gentlemen. And so, how do I speak with someone that has big words? Well, I don't allow a law to speak. And the law will come through when I speak with Dr. Joe, and the law will come speak with those gentlemen, and I had the answers that they needed, or I can communicate with Dr. Joe because I can. But I haven't been educated in that. It just happens. And it's like when they show me hieroglyphs and things. I haven't had any training in this. It's just I understand it. So, but how do I understand it? I don't know how I understand it, but I just seem to understand it for this observation from this observation. And so from another observation or another spin, they might observe it, their observation. So that's okay too. So
isn't this what talking in tongues is? Isn't it? Talking in tongues. You know, that's what this is. Talking in tongues could be light codes, right? You know, and I get, because what I'm getting is there's an integration now of the five senses now from the heart, right? And what's actually happening is, so here's the ears now, they're being balanced, right? What we see is being balanced now at the brow, but the brow chakra is actually, it's when the light comes into the pineal gland here, you know, and the pineal gland is to do with biorhythms. So we're being reset now to our natural biorhythms, if only we can let go of the old habitual, it's 12 o'clock, it must be lunchtime, you know, that type of thing, because it's so difficult. And what happens is that the conditioned time that we've taken on board, it's 12 o'clock, it must be lunchtime. Immediately that thinking brings in a feeling of hunger, even though we're not naturally and really hungry. So it's only a feeling of hunger that's being stimulated by a conditioned response that's being programmed within us. So that's what we're basically letting go of. If we can see, where did I get this idea from? Oh, it's a program, because my mother told me that I've got to eat lunch, where we call it dinner where we are. I've got to eat dinner at 12 o'clock, you see. So it's amazing just how much how we're still programmed in many, many different ways. But once you can see that you're getting hooked by it, take a step back and say, do I really, really feel hungry? No. Well, you don't need to eat then. I still eat anyway. but,
But this is
but
so. This is what you're saying, right? The second nature. So it's just
absolutely.
it's habitat. It's your habitat. It's your habitat. And so yeah, that and so you're applying it to food. You're applying it to how you breathe because you can mix that up. Fast breathing, short breathing, stressful breathing, and walking and exercise, or peaceful breathing and meditation. You can, and then as you keep doing this, you'll start adjusting things. You'll just start changing your diet. You'll start attracting different people around you, and others will leave. And yeah, it will. So it just so you then change your habitat, right? You change
You
your
do.
habits. So and then
But
you
I think
become
that's letting,
more.
sorry to interrupt, I think that that's letting go. That's the important thing, is these are things that are actually attached to our primary nature. We don't
Mm,
have to learn that. We just have to let go of these things, really. And how do you do that? By breathing them away, only if you want to, you know. But what happens is it comes back then. Now you're more aware of it. Right, right. It causes you more disturbance next time. And then if you don't let it go, it causes even more. So there's your Groundhog Day coming back to say, are you ready to let it go now? You know, so
yeah,
it's
and you can't
fascinating,
fake
really.
it. You try and fake it for yourself.
You
It
do,
does
yeah.
that. It doesn't work. It's
But
like nice try, Elsa.
that's, well, no, the same thing is, oh, well done, son. But we're going to send it around a lot more
Yeah.
quickly now. You know, so
Mm.
you could call that really the sort of almost like the shroud of karma, really. And how do you get shut of karma? It is you see what you need to do. You either just see it clearly and it dissolves, or you have to sometimes take an action to do it. You know, and they're the ones that, oh, do I have to? Yes, you do. You know, it'll be good for you. You know. And I think in the end, and I've heard you say
Yeah.
this, you know, I've got, you know, you're a person with a lot of faith and a lot of trust, and I know that. And I don't see myself as that educated person. You know, I still see myself as little Joe from Seacon, which is like a rough place where we live, you know, thinking, what's this all about? And don't ask me a hard question because I mightn't know what you're talking about. But people see me in a different way than I see myself, you know what I mean? And Elsa, I see you as an authority. I really do, as a clear, straightforward authority and somebody that I could trust wholeheartedly with my life. And I really mean that, you know.
Aw.
And, you know, so I
Well, that's
see
a,
you different. No, no, it's true.
but
I see you differently than you see yourself. And I think that we're all in that position, really, you know.
our kids and our family always say to me, "Why don't you be so nice to us like you are on the interviews? Why are you like that dragon behind Dr. Joe?" Because um, this this feeling of protection and confidence and knowing, this knowing of yourself, and then like the goanna, you know, he breathes the breath out like this, and it it burns you on the ass. So, and that's, see, that dragon behind is, if I test the law, test my second nature, I'm going to get singed just a little bit, just to remind me. And this goes on for us as well. So with these solar flares coming through, you know, we've had a few singes. What do you think you're doing? And then you hear the dragon, the goanna come through and go, I go, ow, okay, I got it, I got it, I got it. And then you go and do your walk, and the magpie misses you
Yeah,
with the poo.
yeah,
And I go, thank you. So, you know, that could have been splat on my head and reminding me. I bring it back to our, you know, real stuff, because it really does feel like this. It feels like that dragon behind sometimes, you know. Yourself, you feel like that dragon comes in.
but I know that, and that's necessary sometimes because, and I'll have to go in a minute because I've got to go and see my mum. Um, I think it's there for my protection now, but sometimes I have to be cut through and straightforward with some people, you know, and sometimes I can sort of be more open. So it's always that flow. But my habit was that I always said yes, and most of me was always saying no. There was that split there, really, But I've learned now that if you can't go forward when you need to, and you can't step back, then you're limited, and you're only leading a half-hearted life. So really, this is how I work it now. If I feel emotionally tagged or triggered or disturbed, it's something that I've got hold of that I need to look at more clearly, and I'm not afraid now. It's like I've got this attitude of whatever, bring it on, and I don't do. People might say these dates are happening and they're very important, and the event wave is on the way, and all that sort of stuff. I don't take any notice of that now. It's not important to me, but if it's important to you and it helps you to organize your life in a better way, then great, that's fine. That's the way that you process stuff. But I don't now. All I do is work of the feeling that I've got from one moment to the next, or if you like, one breath at a time. I've got no expectations of where my life's going to take me, because as soon as I get out of a couple of days, all the old fear comes back. Oh, what if that doesn't happen? And oh, I hope I don't upset this. I'm not interested in that now. I'm very sort of centered most of the time, but I haven't got it cracked because there's just too much. There's too much to know. And so I wake up with a feeling of and a sense of, I really don't know what's going on, but if you can show me, that's my deeper self, if you can show me, I'm quite happy to do what's presented to me. most of the time. And I've heard you say this: when what you want is what you need and what you need is what you want, that's freedom to me.
Yeah.
That's freedom.
So you're going to see your nan. Is that what you said?
My mum.
So your mum is in.
She's in a nursing home, yeah, around the corner.
So you're going to walk in there. Do the other people there see you? Like
Yeah.
their other.
Oh yeah. I
Whoa.
always tell a little joke, and because they all love me when I go down there. It's a bit
Yeah.
weird. It's because all the doors are open, and there's all people, obviously old people in beds and in various states of mind and stuff like that. And I say, "Hello, girls," and stuff like that. But part
Wow.
of my heart's breaking when my heart breaks when I see it. And I never know which sort of state my mum's going to be in, because sometimes she'll say, "Hiya, son," and sometimes she'll not be there. So, in fact, I feel like crying talking about it now, but it's sad. And as soon as I go in, I smell the smell and I know where I am. Um, but I try and be open and light-hearted about it. But there's a part of me that's like, can't understand that situation. And there's a part of me that thinks, well, I don't really know what it's all about.
Well, I would like you to do something for me today when you go see your mum. And so I want you to walk through, because when you're at a hospital is hospice, and hospice is ghost guests. So all those people there are in, they create portholes around themselves. They're gateways. And I want you to think of the dragon behind you as me, maybe, and I'm with you today, walking with you. And when you hug your mum, I want you to feel me hug your mum with you, because by you walking in there as the full Dr. Joe that you are, you'll be creating great healing for not only those souls but all the others in the ghost guest mode. It's a huge mode to be in, and it's a big topic. Probably shouldn't have started it at the end, but I just wanted to say these words to you because so many of us have many in homes and hospitals at the moment, and so much sadness is there. But walk now with the sadness as a tool, but walk there with a purpose of being there, because you are doing such great works just by being there. And
I'll do that, certainly.
I really feel that. I really feel that you're doing a great service to everyone by just walking through and then walking out. And this is what people don't realize, is just them being like you. Everything we spoke about today, just them being them is the magic, because now you can. Now you can.
When you raised your arm before, I got a clear picture of Neff, right? Clear as anything. And, you know, and that means a lot to me because I have very, very deep links with that side of things, as you know. So that's almost like, see, look, here we go again. I'm getting like a there on my head now, right?
Oh.
So I'll have to go now, Elsa, and I love
Have
you
a
like
great
mad. And
birthday.
yeah, I
Hope
love
you
you
have a
like
great
mad. And
birthday.
thanks very much. And, you know, hopefully we can have one of these further down the line and see how that falls, even a threes. But that's a little joke between us. We'll see how that develops anyway. So thanks very much, and love to your family and everything, and love to everybody who's watched. And I hope that they've got something from this. And see you next time.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Toodaloo. As they
Bye.
say, ta-ta. And Tartaria. Tartaria is a story for another time as well. All right. Toodaloo.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.